Alright, insight number 2. Natural curiosities about sex are often heightened. So you have a natural curiosity about sex, but it's heightened, often heightened, by hiding the anatomy. So you often get curious about things that are hidden. Oh, what's that? It's like the peekaboo effect. You play games with kids. Peekaboo. You're not there and suddenly there. The contrast, it's interesting to the mind. It's impactful. So when a certain part of the body is hidden, and also not allowed any information to be getting, nobody wants to know, or how do you say that? The information people hide about this. They don't want to share this information. So the person becomes even more curious. Oh, what's there? Yeah, so the information on sexes, by hiding the anatomy and the information on sexes. Exaggerating the differences. Again, the curiosity, natural curiosity about gender and sex, about people, is heightened by exaggerating the differences between the sexes. Example of that was like women are encouraged to wear their hair long, men are encouraged to wear their hair short, and so people grow up with an incorrect understanding that women are just naturally long-haired and men are not. But this is not true. This is not natural. It's designed by various human societies. So this intensifies our curiosity about women. Like as men, we think, oh, she's a woman, and we think of her with long hair, and so she's different than us, much more, very different. And women may think the same thing. Oh, men, they're different from us. But it's exaggerated differences. This is true with clothing. Men are encouraged to not wear colorful clothing, and it's very set and boring and lack of personality, it's just lacking here. So much so that some people who are artistic in nature or feel like they want to express themselves through the clothing as well, they feel that they have to go to the women's section to pick out clothing because it's just not available in the men's, and then they get mixed up themselves. They wonder if they should be a woman. This is not in all circumstances. I'm just giving you one simple example. Yes, and also feeding the curiosity. Yeah, so again, the curiosities are heightened by feeding the curiosity with doses of misinformation. Through endless variety of data addressed to your seeing ability, your hearing ability, your smelling ability, your touch, your taste, thought, and imagination of the person. So they're feeding, they're playing touch and go with you. Hey, you want to have this carrot? You want to have this carrot? You want to have this carrot? Yeah, you could win. It's like gambling. You could win. Hey, you almost won. You could get it. It's it's very pricey. It's priced-worthy. It's really, really amazing and expensive. And you could win it with just £1, $1. La la la. Hey, you almost won there. Are you gonna get it? You want to get it? Hey, you want this? You want this? So it's always playing touch and go, always saying, oh, you're just about to get it. Oh, it's so fantastic. You could, and so this, it's like you salivate. You're constantly salivating when it's like seeing a hamburger on a commercial on some, and it's just dripping down, and you're like, oh, I just want that hamburger. I want that whatever food it is, the ice cream, whatever. They want to engage your senses in it. Now, I'm going to read the sentence. It's a very important sentence. It is an inaccurate statement, maybe it's a not accurate statement, to say that we have sexual attraction and sexual curiosity to such an intense degree from childhood. Rather, children's curiosities are heightened by society, by showing a little and then not showing, by alluding to it, by implying suggestions. The child at first does not understand, is puzzled by it. This adds more to the child's curiosity on the nature of sex. This lures the child even more into trying to figure out what others are talking about. Example in cartoons. You've seen cartoons, sometimes you see a woman walk by, scantily dressed, walking this way, that way. And then sometimes she's not scantily dressed, sometimes she's walking. Anyway, so the other characters, wolves or other characters in the cartoon, suddenly their eyes bulge out, boom, 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 exaggerated, boom, out physically. Jaw drops to the floor, tongue is hanging out, heart pumping, boom, 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 woof, woof, steam coming out of their ears and head, whatever. A kid watching this at 5 years old has no idea what the heck is going on, why are they reacting? But eventually, slowly but surely, they come to realize, what are they talking about? They learn the perspective that is being conveyed, that is being projected onto screen to them. And eventually they're, okay, this is how to see a woman. This is how we ought to see it. Gender. All right. Oh yeah, you see these various events. Example number 3, evidence number 3. You have these shows that people go to, often Oscars or different things like that. Fancy dress dinner parties and stuff. Usually, the men are the one who's supposed to wear, bow tie, black, white, black, and just like that, walk in, and the women are the one who come out flamboyantly with all these various ruffles and whatever they have, tons of stuff. It's terrible for the man because he can't express himself. Okay, another sentence. Certainly, men and women are different, but many societies exaggerate their differences. These exaggerations intrigue the mind. Give them knowledge. If they are mystified by sex, if they do not know about sex, then they can be manipulated by others who claim to know about sex. Others can and do provide children with incorrect and damaging information designed to addict them to the sexual misinformation. Example of that, this is when I wrote this book. There were various cities in America, some coin-operated newsstands provide newspapers that advertise sexual services. Any child who can place money inside and lift the lid has access to the papers. The internet is full of sexually explicit material that many children access. So, however, armed with insightful, truthful knowledge, the students will have the opportunity to have a firm grasp of what male, female, and sex is. They would have the means to defend themselves against misinformation. They would be able to see more clearly how others try to manipulate children's minds and senses into a state of addiction. By knowing the methods others employ to capture the mind's attention, children will be well equipped to spot those methods when the methods of manipulation are being applied on them. Okay, so page 68, Insight 2 starts. And page 80, it ends. Page 80, 68 to 80. Wow, that's more than 10 pages. So, under Insight 2, there's a number of examples which is example A, some cartoons when a pretty lady walks by. Example B on page 72. Oh, you got to read that. You will see things, you will come to understand things which you would have an extremely hard time figuring out on your own. So, page 72, you got to read that and become, it's the example B. My first significant misinformation on sex, for you to see, you get really fantastic information there. It's an actual example of my life, and you get to see some perspectives which are just phenomenal. Also, within that example, there is another. There is some phenomenal information presenting the how attraction occurs. Vitally important for the rest of the book. Addiction has its roots in attraction. You need to understand how attraction works for you to understand how addiction works. Once you understand how attraction works, right? When you have a firm grasp and understanding of that, then you can understand how then fixation comes along, where your mind is focused quite strongly on something, focused and it can't get away, focused on it, focused, fixated, fixed on it. The mind is fixed on it, like a nail bored and hammered into a board. The nail is fixed onto the board. You can't get out. Same, the mind is fixed on a certain topic, sexual whatever, and can't get the mind away. Many people say, "Oh, I can't stop thinking about this. I can't stop thinking about that." Has its roots in attraction. So you need to read that.
Hello, this is the second video, which will be my first significant misinformation from an actual example of my life, going into very detailed information, which will be very eye-opening. Okay. We are on to 72, page 72. Example B. Now let me see here. Yeah, example B. I'll be reading and explaining at the same time. Okay, very good. Example B, my first significant misinformation on sex. I mentioned here that I try to give actual examples because they're much more reliable. My very first significant misinformation on sex was when a person gave me a calendar. Okay, it was kind of a big calendar. Big with arm size. It was my arms, I just roll it out. Quite a big calendar. Okay, this calendar had pictures of cars. However, there were ladies sitting and posing on the cars. When I describe this, please note how manipulative it is. The ladies were wearing specially designed skin tight. That means they were fixed. The suit that they were wearing there was no, like, you see the wrinkle here? There's none of that. It was just tight on their skin, as if it's like a second skin. Okay. They were wearing specially designed skin tight race car clothing. Colors were red, yellow, orange, etc. So note how manipulative it is, and I'm going to be describing it, the manipulations. They had beautiful hair. I mean, it was very well done, the hair, and their suits had a zipper right in front. Zipper, all the way. That would go all the way down to the crotch. Okay, they had unzipped the zip. The crotch is the private area of a human being, just in case you don't know. Okay, so they had unzipped the zip, and underneath they had nothing on. They had unzipped their race suit right up to the nipple, so it was like this, like a V shape, open there. The breasts were heaving and definitely half exposed. Another lady had unzipped her zipper from the neck all the way down, just short of her private area. So it's quite, mind-grabbing. The pictures were glossy. One picture showed twins. There we go. Okay, I remember that that was my first time that I had gotten information on women's bodies, and I was aroused. Up until this very moment, which I am writing this, I had thought that I naturally and or instinctively reacted sexually. However, it is because of something else. See what I mean? A car has no mind of its own. Therefore, if a picture of it appears on the calendar, there is no statement being made by the car. Maybe a statement is being made by the owner, but not by the car. However, when a woman appears on the calendar, she does have a mind of her own. She, more than likely, wants her picture to be taken. She wants to be seen. My mind and the mind of a child, at the time I was a child, might pick up that signal and that thought. The thought of she wants to be seen. She is dressed nicely with vibrant colors and a nice hairdo. Based on this, she indicates that she wants to be looked at and she wants to be thought of as beautiful. You might think that a child does not pick up these ideas at such an early age. Sure enough, he or she may not pick them up and analyze them as we are. However, he does pick them up quite clearly, subconsciously. By that I mean, the child is viewing this and is affected by the messages being projected onto him. And the effects takes place. No messages are actually spoken. It's visual, So it's idea-based. So if the child is not aware of the visual cues and the ideas being expressed or portrayed by just the images, if he's not aware of that consciously, he doesn't know why he's being affected. I mean, nothing is spoken. A small example is like if you approach a little child, and this I've experienced myself, so I know. If you approach a small child, and you're quite a large being, if you approach a small child and you're quite tall as you approach him, he or she may feel overwhelmed by the sheer size of you. The child may not be aware why he or she is being fearful at the moment, because the fear has taken hold and now is just perturbed. The mind is disturbed. This is a good example actually in the Bhagavad Gita, because now the mind is busy with fear. And in the Bhagavad Gita it says that after attachment and lust develops and gets busy, the mind gets busily engaged with objects, and then anger arises, and then loss of memory. So anger or fear or any kind of these negative emotions are quite destructive, chaotic, and so the mind gets busy with that and has forgotten how exactly they got there. In other words, the process is forgotten. The initial exposure to what happened, and the middle stage is forgotten, because at the end result is fear and perturbance, chaos, and just that, know, it's like if you're sitting somewhere and suddenly bombs start to fall because you get, you know, at that fearful stage, it's just you're focused on your survival, your fear, and you know, it erases the mind because you're just focused on that fear that is overwhelming. So, same is true with the effects. When a person is feeling aroused or wanting something very much, anything that grabs the focus quite intensely, attention is quite fixed on that. And because it's fixed on that, it's forgotten about everything in the universe, including how they got into this fixed state. In the case of this, it is the various thoughts being projected, the hairdo and all this stuff that is grabbing the attention, and the ideas being presented are she wants to be seen and be thought of as beautiful. She wants to be looked at, and so we get engaged with this, and then our curiosity now is heightened because of the play of peekaboo effect of showing and not showing, and alluding to it, and so the mind now is really interested in now beholding the information and engaging in the information, and has forgotten about how they got there. Just because the child may not be able to articulate, to word out, to say these ideas, does not mean that he is not able to be affected by the messages. Now she, the lady in the calendar, is facing you. It's very important. She's facing you, looking straight at you. She seems to want to be very personal with you. She is directly addressing you. She wants to be looked at by you. Important messages. She wants to be looked at by you. These are all these things are there with just one calendar. One picture is amazing. Whoever gets to see the calendar, that is, meaning she wants to be looked at by whoever gets to see the calendar. And you are one of the people looking at the calendar. It appears that she wants that. That is a signal that we might get. We see her when we see her. Next, she is opening her suit from the front. She wants you to see her naked. These are the ideas being presented there. Non-verbally, but they're there. She wants you to, this is very important. She is opening her suit from the front to you. She wants you to see her naked. There's an idea there being presented non-verbally, and the child picks it up. Oh. You have a natural curiosity to see her naked, to see her, understand her, experience her, and know her body. It's just like anything. You know, kids are very curious about many things. You know, why is this that? Why is this? Why is this? Why is this? How does this work? Why do we do that? Why do we do this? Why do we do that? All kinds of stuff. And it's good. They just want to know. You know, the same thing is true with the body. They simply just want to know. Why is a man different than a woman? How is it different? Why are they different? Now that natural curiosity, which is curiosity about everything, including the body, everything in life, and plants, whatever. That natural curiosity is the one that is heightened, played with and heightened. So this is what I'm talking about. You have a natural curiosity to see her naked, to see her, understand her, experience her, and know her body. You are certainly interested, but she has opened up her zipper only partially, and you cannot see the rest of her breasts. You cannot see the rest of her breasts. You might or might not wonder why she is only showing her breasts partially. All you know is that you want to see it all. She, not showing you the other half, makes you want to see it even more. It's playing games with you. Saying, I have a present for you, and I'll show you half of it. You know, what? You know, you want to see the whole present, whatever it is, a little game for Christmas or whatever it is. You know, we're gonna go to Disneyland. We're gonna show you half of it. What? I'm gonna show you a movie. You're gonna see the first half. You know, it's gonna kill you. You want to see the second half. Okay. So, she not showing you the other half makes you want to see it even more. Because you're saying, hey, what is going on? I want to understand, and I'm on the verge of it, of seeing it, and something's being shown partially. Dang it, why can't I see the whole thing? There you go, see, the mind is not really involved in it. You make out, that means you figure out, mentally, you make out from the tight-fitting race suit. That is, your mind is engaged in figuring out, is focused on the tight-fitting race suits. It's really focused on the outside dimensions of the entire breast. So you make out the outside dimensions of the entire breast. Your mind sees the race suit, dimensions of the breast you can figure out because it's totally tight, and so therefore the mind, even though it cannot see the whole breast, sees half of it. The mind gauges and understands, goes into calculation mode in seeing and really grasping the idea of the dimension of the whole breast based on the tight fitting race suit, which is hugging her breast entirely. So this is, the mind is engaged in that. So it's, the mind is working quite focused, hard on it. Mind is focused quite intensely on this, which the focus is now quite intense. So you make out from the tight-fitting race suit the outside dimensions of the entire breasts. This tantalizes you. You figure its dimensions, but you do not see its entire surface area bare naked. In addition, because you are using your imagination in figuring out the dimensions with great expertise, you are extremely focused on them, to a degree which you were not focused before. This is intensifying your focus. Your curiosity is now heightened. Keep in mind that as a child, these thoughts are often not noticed. I, until the age of 32, did not recognize the thoughts myself. That is the reason why I thought that I was instinctively attracted to the ladies, which is of course false. Rather, it is because of a series of mental manipulations, of which which are coaxing you. They're encouraging you to be interactive with the ladies in the pictures. All right. So here now, at this point, I go through example. I talk about the mere beauty, attractiveness of the individual might build a desire in you to want to interact with them, which is the last video I mentioned that. I go through example C. After example C is done, which is about the kid sees a bright red colored plastic cube, which we talked about last time. Now back to the story. The continuation of example B, which is my first significant misinformation on sex. I wanted to see her breasts and her entire body, and I wanted to connect with her, engage with her, because she was beautiful. She was out of my reach. I could not grab her by my hand. She's just a picture. Therefore, I resorted to my imagination. I used my imagination to be able to interact with her. I imagined physically interacting with her. I was talking with her, touching her, kissing her, etc. Like we said earlier, meaning any way that I could possibly think of interacting with her, I was most interested in beholding the part of, So, like we said earlier, meaning any way that I could possibly think of interacting with her. This is what I was engaged in the picture. I was most interested in beholding the part of her anatomy that I had not seen before. Now, again, I'm reminding you, I'm mentioning this example because it's an actual example, which is more reliable than just a theoretical one. So we see the manipulations at play. I want to give a small example of that. How is it that when she's sitting there, she sees the picture looking at you, it defines you looking at her. I wonder if I mentioned it. If not, I will mention it. It's like sitting in a cockpit of a airplane. You know these games they have. Yeah, you're the pilot. Now, how is it that they make you to be the pilot? Well, when what they're showing you in the game is the cockpit of the plane, it suggests that you are the pilot. the cockpit of the plane defines who you are at the moment. Oh, I must be the pilot because here's the cockpit of the plane. See? So this is how they use a picture to define who you are, to determine your state of mind. So you see an example of a lot of ladies in pictures looking, see if I could do the look, looking at you like as if you have, looking at you at the, sorry, the picture is like of shock. You see the picture of shock, of being looked at, by you. Now, so if the picture is a picture of a lady being shocked that she's being looked at, just by observing that, the reality that she's projecting is that, you are looking at her in a sexual manner, and this has shocked her. The fact is, you're not looking at her sexually. You're just walking around. You see this picture, and the picture suggests that you, again, is defining you. You are looking at her in a strange way, sexually or whatever. See how tricky they are. All right. Okay, so I was most interested in beholding, seeing the part of her anatomy that I had not seen before, which is in the crotch area, the private parts. Likewise, I was aware of the location of my own private part, which I somehow suspected would correspond to the unknown part of hers. I knew it would somehow make sense if I knew the whole picture. In fact, I knew it would make sense even as a child. However, people or they did not provide me with the information. Therefore, to me, it was a great puzzle. It was quite puzzling to me why my private part was shaped like that, a male, seeking very much to know how she looks down there, and coming very close, but never seeing it, made me want to see her privates even more. I was trying to figure out her privates, which were located down there. I was conscious of my own also, which was in the same general location. I had a sneaky suspicion that we were quite different down there, and that was the reason why I never got to see it. And that is why it was hidden from view by everyone in society. It's hidden in entire society. And people are going, why? Using all my body parts, I wanted to rub all over her. My mouth, hands, and my whole body was active. I was lying on the floor looking at these pictures. My entire body was actively moving and imagining being with her. I was like, like this. I was rubbing my body to hers by imagination. To want to understand and figure out, to want to know, to get in touch with. It's all about experience. You want to know, This involved kissing, which is taught behavior by society, while my entire body was active and my privates were being rubbed on the floor as a result of just moving about, just normal moving about. I was aroused. So it wasn't like a mental thing that happened that caused an arousal. It was I was on the floor, and by simply moving about, my privates quite naturally also were being moved about, and quite naturally it's a physical thing that occurred without my knowledge of it. So it was a normal thing. Yeah, as a simple matter of fact of me moving my whole body, my privates, as a result of that, got moved around also, being rubbed on the floor, and so it got aroused. Have in mind that before this, I had no idea of the privates and their function. I had no idea what was taking place. So somebody might argue and say, oh, well, this is an instinctive thing. You felt naturally when you were aroused. No, it was not natural. It was just an accidental thing. I was moving around my body, and because I was on the floor, my privates got moved around because I was moving around, trying to interact with them. And it just it's a natural consequence. As you know, the privates do work when they are, what's the word for it? Rubbed against. So it wasn't like I became aroused just naturally like this. No, it was just from mind or an emotion. No, it was just a physical action. That's what happened. I stated this example to show you also that there was a great mental connection or communication between the women in the picture and myself. I was saying to them, open up the zipper a little more, and other such statements. The communication on the model's part was by body language, facial expressions, etc. If you pay attention to their form of communication and lose sight of reality, then you will fall into the trap of responding to their communication. The ladies in the picture had a motivation for behaving in a sexually enticing manner. They were doing it possibly for money, fun, or other reasons. Oh yeah, so I've heard of situations where the ladies, I'll read it, I'm discovering. I've heard that in some music videos, oh yeah, strippers are used as dancers. Yeah, so in some videos, strippers are used as dancers. Regular women see them dancing like this, get an idea, they get an idea in their head, they might get an idea in their head that, hey, oh, these women are dancing like this. And the normal women then may become, they may get encouraged to dance like that, not realizing that these are not regular women, these are strippers. All right. Alright, you could fall into the trap of playing the role that they are encouraging you to play. These communications are very subtle, and some communications are blunt. For many, it is hard to notice the subtle communications at play. The photographer often uses the term talk to the camera, make love to the camera, tease me. So, yeah, so it's, when they're taking pictures of the woman that is on the calendar, the photographer is talking to the lady about all sorts of things in order to make her express, to make her feel a certain way, and for her facial expressions to change in response to what the guy is saying. As you know, there's a ton of facial muscles, and the number of facial expressions we can make are innumerable. So when the photographer says to the lady, oh, make love to me, I love you, your hair is so beautiful, oh, blah, 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 this and that, talk to me about whatever, she's actually responding. So what you see on the camera is she's just not taking a picture and she's just standing there. No. She's being made to express herself, and she's being responsive, reacting. And you pick that up. You're affected by what you see, what is being expressed. So, yeah, and much more beguiling language to encourage a certain mood in the women models. They do this in order to capture their enticing facial and bodily expressions. The ordinary person looking at the model feels that she is communicating with him in that enticing manner. When you notice her and are captivated by her, the only overwhelming reality at that moment will be her and her communication to you. So this is a big thing. I'll be talking in more detail about it in another insight. But basically, in the part of the Bhagavad Gita where it says, on one of the senses where the mind focuses on, it is enough to carry one's intelligence away. That's what's happening here. When you focus on her solely as the most prominent reality, so it's because of your focus, and it's dependent on your focus. If your focus is intense on what is being presented there, then that takes over your sense of reality, and that's why it overwhelms you, and you have no choice but to interact with it, and it's just very powerful. It leaves its effects on you because of the depth of your focus on it. All right, good. You driven by your mind, have no choice but to respond or to interact, because at that moment, that is the only overwhelming reality that your mind is aware of. The strange thing is that she's not speaking to you verbally, and based on this, you might think that she is not communicating with you. Therefore, you might attribute the rise in your sexual tendencies to be stemming from you entirely. So you might mistakenly think, hey, it's coming from you, this is just natural and instinctive, I'm seeing her, she's just a woman, therefore I'm feeling these things. But there's more things going on, and you have to be aware of it. When she's projecting a certain kind of mood by her facial expressions, it's very important for you to be aware and conscious of it, or aware of it, and not be guiled by it. Go, hey, wait a minute, notice that she's making these facial expressions, and that's what is drawing your attention, and therefore determining your reality. What you focus on determines your reality. To the depth of your focus, that you focus on something, it affects you that way, because you're focusing on it. We'll pause there. No, we won't. We will go on. We're very close to the end of the video. So I'll give you a very good example. You might find yourself. Please do appreciate the examples that I give. Okay, so you might. I'm going to give you a really good example. Let's say you're interacting with somebody and you get mad, you get affected quite strongly by somebody being upset with you, mad with you or something. For example, let's see the difference here. Somebody says to you, I don't like what you did that day, that was not very nice, blah, blah, blah. And somebody else then says, I don't like what you did that day, that wasn't very nice at all. You were so sneaky, I know what your intentions are, you're an evil person, you get out of here, you're a hypocrite, All right. I'm sure I could do a better job. You did that. No, you're a slimy person. Okay, good. That was a good one. You're slime. Why the heck are you here? Okay. Okay, so what's happening here is that why is it that the second person affects you more? The one who does this and and accuses you of doing something when you were totally innocent. You go there, wherever you are, and you're being yourself. You have no. I'm sure you've had this happen to you in some circumstances, because there's so many misunderstandings that have happened. And so you may have experienced this, where you're in a situation where you're totally innocent, you have no ill intentions towards anybody, and then somebody comes and accuses you of either stealing or doing something bad or having ill intentions. And they come up to you, say, oh, you're just here for the food, or you're here for the whatever, whatever. Okay, so you're just a showy person, okay, this and that. Now, why does the second person really affect you? Why does this person, instead of just another person who says, oh, you're this and that, just tells you like this? Okay, because the second person is, he's contorting his face. Right? As you know, I've mentioned before, if you write with white on white, you will not see what is written there. White on white, no impression of the mind. There requires a difference. You need something different, contrasting in color, foreground and background, to make an impression on the mind, to register it, to have it register on the mind. The more contrasting, the more it impacts the mind. So the bold, contrasting, it makes a big impact because it's very thick. The darkness is much more against the white background. So when a person is contorting their face, all their facial expressions there is all this. So it's similar to how when you have a straight line. That was the line. Yeah. There you go. A comparison between a straight line and a curved line. You know, the curved line is much more engaging to the mind. The curved line, much more engaging to the mind. Because why? Because the difference is not only color, black and white, but also shape. There's up and down, left and right, inside out. The differences are magnified. So it's two things. Two is your mind is being influenced by two or more ideas, not just one idea. So when a person is contorting their face, their facial muscles and all this, and their nose and is twisted, just like this drawing that I mentioned. It's all twisted. And so with every little crease, every little difference in facial structure than the regular facial expression, it leaves impressions upon your mind. It's making an impact. See? Yeah, all this stuff. As a whole, it looks uglier. As a whole, it's different. But also, each and every little one of them, it adds to the effect of the impact. Also, so that's one thing. But this one has hundreds of impacts because there's so many different things. You know. Then they come to you closer. The impact is enlarged, magnified because they're coming to you close. So if I was far and say, "Oh, you did this," it's quite different. You did this. It's much more different, much more impactful. It's like those rapper videos that they have with their hand going like this. What the heck? It's just trying to make a simple impact on your mind. Anyway, okay, so here's an impact. The manipulation is happening on your mind based on, you got, here, I switched between this and this because people use this as a method of manipulation also. They can. It can happen naturally or just by accident. Naturally, that is accidentally or purposefully. Using this, not the main finger to talk about 1, 2, 3, but rather the opposite going. It grabs the attention of the mind. Why is he using his small finger? The finger that is not normally used. Exactly. It's the opposite, you see. Anyway, so we got 1, the facial contortion. 2, he's coming very close to you. It's 2, magnified. These are all different contrasting elements. Third one is he's describing to you something that is quite completely different than the actuality of the situation. So you're completely innocent, and he's telling you you are a hypocritical person who's a lying thief, blah blah blah. So the contrast is so different than the actuality, you're really affected by it. What the heck? It's very mind grabbing. It's attention grabbing. That was number 3. So you're there simply innocent, and this guy is telling you that you're evil-minded and hypocritical, and you're here for this. What? What the heck? You see, it's impacted the mind. Because it's so contrasting from the reality. Because it's so contrasting. The more contrasting it is, the more the mind is powerfully affected. When you understand this, you're not impressed by it anymore. Also, the voice is loud. He comes to you with a loud voice when he does this. You may have some kind of expressions in his voice to you, okay, yeah. It's really quite manipulative. They're trying to affect your mind, and that's 5 so far. And it goes on and on like this. So, next time when somebody comes to you, oh, by the way, this is very interesting. You find yourself wanting to defend yourself against this. Why? When you're completely innocent. If you're completely innocent, There's no reason to defend yourself. There's no, there's no. Why would you want to defend yourself? You're completely innocent, right? But you find yourself having to defend yourself because what he is saying is affecting you. Why is it affecting you? Now, because let's go over this very simple thing. Here's the reality that he's projecting. That's another idea. He's projecting a reality as if it's true. Sixth manipulation. Okay, so he is projecting a reality as if it's the truth. The truth is, you're innocent. Here you are, innocent you, and your voice of your innocence is this much. I am innocent, and the voice of him accusing you is this much. Right? So, and it's overwhelming your mind. Here's your mind. In your mind, you have the voice of your innocence and the voice of the accusations, the voice of you're guilty. Now, simply because of the sheer size of overwhelming your mind of this lying stuff that is putting you in the picture of, oh, you're the liar, because of a sheer magnitude of it, of its bigness and powerness of it, the power of it. Your little voice of truth, even though it's truth, is insignificant. And so therefore, this rules, simply because it's so large. And you're affected by it because of all the manipulations that we just talked about. Now, that's why you want to come out and answer it. And you want to feel like answering it back against it. To fight off all these indications, these accusations. And you feel so overwhelmed as you're trying to fight against them. Now, once you understand the manipulations involved, in trying to affect you, you're no longer impressed by it. You're not impressed by it, you're not affected by it, because you understand it. You're like, man, this is so stupid. And you laugh at it, and you understand how the tricks work, and you no longer pay attention to it. You don't allow it, you don't hear it, you don't allow it to overwhelm your mind, because you know how it works. You're not impressed by it. See, previously you didn't know why you were being affected, and you were thus being affected, and now you know how it's affecting you and why it works, and so you're not impressed when somebody says something to you or about you. You're calm about it because you know the truth, and no matter how loudly they project their version of reality, it doesn't make it real. And you know that. See, that's one of the tricks, is to project one's reality and grab everybody's focus on that reality, and then because of the attention being focused on their version of reality only, then that becomes it affects everybody's sense of reality, and they think, oh, that's true, because they're focused on it. That's all. And this is how things work. About if you focus on one thing, you lose sight of everything else. So you need not focus on their reality, but focus on your innocence, and you could try to figure out, if you want, what they're talking about, and consider various perspectives. There's no problem, because there could be an element of misunderstanding, as it usually is. But upon your innocence, you don't have to worry about it, and it doesn't affect you. You're calm about it, relaxed, knowing full well that you're not affected, you're not overwhelmed by what is being spoken about you, to you, behind, or in front of you. You simply remain calm, what happens with that is that when somebody is talking negatively about you or to you or all this stuff, and they're spewing essentially garbage out, you remain calm, composed, and together. And what appears to everyone else, and even to the guy himself, is that he's spewing garbage, and that's the truth. He's spewing garbage, and you're simply calm and collected. he or she will have to correct themselves, because it looks really bad on them spewing that garbage. Okay, so that's that. You see now that was that here. Yes. Now I'm going to give you. Now, society places much emphasis on sex, and less emphasis on other abilities and activities. Our natural self is buried under a ton of societal debris, meaning garbage, societal garbage. Here, with the help of the rich and concise information presented in this document, you are endeavoring to dig yourself out from under it. There's a lot of lies we've been exposed to. We're exposing them. We want to get out from them. Many times people get misdirected about what they truly want because society paints them a glorious, glossy picture of a sexual life. They're showing you how this is how you have it, this is who you have it, this is with, this is how you'll, this is where you will meet such a person. Garbage. Shows them how to do it, where the pleasure for that connection exists. They even tell you by showing you by example where the pleasure is in the sexual interaction and how it is to be experienced. Garbage. They're lying to you. Okay, good. It's time to get out from under these influences. Very good. We'll go on to the next video, but please take your time and think about what I've said. If you have any questions, please post them below, and you can talk to each other. Yeah, we'll talk back and forth. Very good. We want to take what is information that is there and see in actual life if it's true or not, okay? We want to study. This is a study. We want to learn and apply it. Learn, see if it makes sense, and then apply it to reap its benefits. You want to see numerous examples in life about the information that I've presented so that you become acclimated with it. You become familiar with it. You come to know it very, very good within yourself, within others, within how people's minds works and all this stuff, and you learn it and you see how people operate, work with their minds works, and all this stuff. See it working within your own mind and learn to master it. Yes, very good, very good.